Hello, future officers. Welcome to Selection IAS. I'm really excited to teach you the history of Mughal Empire, and I hope you are too excited to study about this magnificent empire. Yeah, so I hope you have a basic idea regarding the history of Mughal Empire. Okay, you might have studied in NCRTs, right? But anyway, I'm going to cover all the relevant information as far as our prelims examination is concerned, right? In fact, this is equally important for the mains examination, right? So let's begin with the political history of the Mughal Empire. So the Mughal Empire was established by Jahiruddin Muhammad Babur. So as you do know, the last Sultan of Delhi Sultanate was Ibrahim Lodi from the Lodi dynasty. He was defeated by Babur only in the first battle of Panipat, which took place on 21st April 1526. So the basic reign of Babur was only for the 4 years from 1526 to 1530 in India. So let's talk about a little bit background of Babur. He was related to Tamur from his father's side and Genghis Khan through his mother. Both Tamur and Genghis Khan were invader, right? Main invader, not only in India, but also in Central Asia region. Babur succeeded his father Umar Sheikh Mirza as the ruler of Fargana, but somehow he was soon defeated by his distant relative and as a result lost his kingdom. And after that, Babur started to take interest in India, to conquer India. And even before the Battle of Panipat in 1526, he had launched 4 expeditions between 1519 to 1523. So this is the painting of Babur. Now let's talk about military conquest of Babur. On the eve of Babur's invasion in India, there were 5 prominent Muslim rulers: the Sultans of Delhi from Delhi Sultanate, Sultans of Gujarat, Malwa, Bengal, and Deccan, and 2 prominent Hindu rulers, Rana Sanga from Mewar and the Vijayanagar Empire. Okay, remember this. So all these were contemporary to each other. Once again, by the end of 1525, Babur started from Kabul to conquer India. He occupied Lahore easily by defeating its governor Daulat Khan Lodi. In fact, Daulat Khan Lodi was one of the persons who invited Babur to invade in India. So he thought, okay, Babur would come, okay, and he would plunder, he would defeat the Sultans of Delhi, and then he would go back. But it doesn't happen. Okay, as I told you, Babur started to take interest in India. On 21st April 1526, the first battle of Panipat took place between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi, who was killed in the battle. Babur occupied Delhi and sent his son Humayun to siege Agra. Babur proclaimed himself as an emperor of Hindustan after this battle of Panipat. In 1527, again, he had a war with Rana Sanga from Mewar, and the battle is known as Battle of Khanwa near Agra. It was a decisive victory over him. Babur assumed the title of Ghazi. Babur defeated the Afghans in the Battle of Gogren in Bihar. Babur finally died at Agra in 1530 only at the age of 47. So he ruled only for the 40 years, and finally after that, Humayun, his son, became the new emperor of India. He was a great scholar. This is about estimation of Babur. He was a great scholar in Arabic and Persian languages. In fact, he wrote his own memoirs, Tujike Baburi. In Urdu, it is known as Baburnama. So he wrote this in Turkey language. Remember this? Okay, it was in Turkey language, written by Babur only, which provides a vivid account of India during his reign. Now, Humayun, he ruled for the 10 years initially, okay, and again, due to some exiliations, okay, we will talk about later in that part, he again established Mughal Empire in 1555. So Humayun was the eldest son of Babur, and Humayun means the fortune, but he remained the most unfortunate ruler of the Mughal Empire. Okay, this is an interesting line. Humayun means fortune. The meaning of his name is fortune, but he remained the most unfortunate ruler of the Mughal Empire. Humayun had three brothers, Kamran, Askari, and Hindal. Kamran was given Kabul and Kandahar. Sambhal and Alabar were given to Askari and Hindal. In the meantime, Sher Khan became powerful in the east. Sher Khan was a governor in Bihar region. Humayun marched against him, and in the Battle of Chausa in 1539, Sher Khan destroyed the Mughal army, and Humayun escaped from there. So please underline this: Battle of Chausa, 1539. Sher Khan defeated the Mughal emperor Humayun. Okay, but after this, after the Battle of Chausa, Humayun reached his brothers to get some support, but unfortunately they were not cooperative. So Humayun was forced to fight with Sher Khan alone in the Battle of Bilgram in 1540. So the very next year, he had a next battle, the Battle of Bilgram, also known as Battle of Kannauj. So this battle was also known as the Battle of Kannauj, as I told you. Humayun was thoroughly defeated by Sher Khan again. And after losing his kingdom, Humayun became an exile for the next 15 years. Okay. So the Mughal Empire was established by Babur. Okay. And from 1526 to 1540, they ruled here in India. But after the Battle of Bilgram, when Sher Khan defeated Humayun, it's like there was complete elimination of Mughal Empire from India. Okay. This is why, there is a famous debate among the historians that whether Babur was the real founder of Mughal Empire. Okay, because most of the historians, they support the idea of Akbar, that Akbar was the real founder of Mughal Empire. Why? Because the empire established by Babur was eliminated by 1540 only. Right? After that, there was rule of Afghans in India. Okay. Anyway, that's a matter of debate. We will discuss it later on. So, when Humayun left India in 1540, he married Hamida Banu Begum on his way to Sindh. When they stayed in Amarkot, a Hindu kingdom ruled by Rana Prasad, Akbar was born in 1542. Akbar, Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar, the most significant and the great king of India. We call it Akbar the Great. So we have only two kings from India, Asoka and Akbar. Okay, with their names we use the word great, Asoka the Great and Akbar the Great. So there are reasons for that. Okay, we will discuss it later on in this class only. Humayun then proceeded to Iran and sought help from its ruler and defeated his brothers. In the meantime, the Sur dynasty was dynasty established by Sher Khan, and India was declining rapidly. In 1555, finally, Humayun defeated the Afghans and recovered the Mughal throne again. After 6 months, he died in 1556 due to his fall from the staircase of his library. He was a student of mathematics, astronomy, astrology. He also loved painting and wrote poetry in Persian languages. Now, let us know about something. The Sur dynasty, the Sur interregnum. So, as I told you, there was Afghan dynasty, that is Sur dynasty, from 1540 to 1555 in northern India. So the founder of Sur dynasty was Sher Shah. Earlier he was known as Sher Khan, then Sher Shah, and his original name was Farid. He is an important figure. Why? Due to his administrative policies that later on Akbar adopted too. He was the son of Hassan Khan, a Jagirdar of Sasaram in Bihar. So see, he was just a son of a Jagirdar, and he defeated the Mughal Emperor Humayun. This is a picture of Sher Khan. Sher Shah Suri. Sher Shah waged extensive wars with the Rajputs and expanded his empire. His empire consisted of the whole of North India except Assam, Nepal, Kashmir and Gujarat region. Now please focus on his administration. Although his rule lasted for 5 years only, okay, because he died in 1545 in Battle of Kalinjar. Okay, so he organized a brilliant administrative system. The central government consisted of several departments, and the king was assisted by 4 important ministers. They were Diwan-e Wizarat, also called as Wazir. He was in charge of revenue and finance. Please focus on the keywords. UPSC asked questions on keywords from medieval history. Next was Diwan-e Arj, and he was in charge of the army. Diwan-e Risalat, he was foreign minister, and Diwan-e Insa, minister for communications. Sher Shah's empire was divided into 47 sarkars, chief sikdars to maintain the law and order, and chief munsif, who was a legal judge, were the 2 officers in the charge of administration in each sarkar. Each sarkar was divided into several parganas. Okay, so basically the whole empire of Sher Shah was divided into 47 sarkars. It's like small provinces, and further these provinces, sarkars, were divided into several parganas. Sikdar, who was military officer, land revenue officer, fortdar, treasurer, and karkuns, accountants, were in charge of the administration of each pargana. So remember the keywords like Sikdar. And there were also many administrative units called Iktaj. Iktaj, the way we studied about Iqtidari system during the Delhi Sultanate. The land revenue administration was well organized under Sher Shah. Land survey was carefully done. So it is an important point related to land revenue, okay, which was further followed by Akbar. All cultivable lands were classified into 3 classes: good, middle, and bad. The state share was 1/3 of the average produce. Remember, 1/3, not 1/6. Many of you get confused, right? So 1/6 was during the time of Vijayanagar Empire, and it was paid in cash or crop. His revenue reforms increased the revenue of the state. Sher Shah introduced new silver coins called Dam, and they were in circulation till 1835. 1835, during the Mughals and British also. Remember, Dam was silver coins, not gold, not anything else. It was silver coins. Sher Shah had also improved the communications by levying for important highways. They were Sonar Gaon to Sindh, Agra to Burhanpur, Jodhpur to Chittor, and Lahore to Multan. Okay. So in fact, the present day national highway number 1. Okay. So that is something, we credit to Sher Shah Suri, right? Because it is on the same route that Sher Shah developed. Rest houses were also built on the highway for the convenience of the travelers. So in this way, he was really a good ruler. So police were also efficiently reorganized, and crime was less during his regime. Okay. The military administration was also efficiently reorganized, and Sher Shah borrowed many ideas like the branding of horses from Alauddin Khilji. You remember the Dag system? Dag was a system of branding of horses, okay, which was started by Alauddin Khilji. He is known for many of his reforms, his market reforms. So same was followed by Sher Shah Suri. So this is the tomb of Sher Shah in Sasaram, Bihar. Okay. Now let's do an estimate of Sher Shah. Sher Shah remained a pious Muslim and generally tolerant towards other religions. He was a patron of art and architecture. He built a new city on the banks of river Yamuna near Delhi. Now the old fort called Purana Kila. In Delhi, there is an old fort known as Purana Kila, and its mosque is alone surviving. He also built a mausoleum at Sasaram, which is considered as one of the masterpieces of Indian architecture. Malik Muhammad Jaisi wrote the famous Hindi work Padmavat during his reign only. So Padmavat is one of the most famous book from the medieval Indian history. It was written by Malik Muhammad Jaisi. It was written during the reign of Sher Shah only. Padmavati movie is based on this book, Padmavat. After Sher Shah's death in 1545, his successors ruled till 1555 when Humayun reconquered India again. Yeah, so next topic is Akbar the Great. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was the most powerful and significant ruler among the Mughal emperors. So as per the requirements of our examination, as per the demand of UPSC, we have to focus more on Akbar, right? Because in prelims also and mains also questions come from this part, from Akbar's, right? For example, the religious policy of Akbar, right? The kind of reforms he did and his Deccan policy, his political achievements, his contribution in art and culture. So we have to focus more on Akbar part. So in 1555, his father Humayun defeated the Afghans and recovered the Mughal throne. But after 6 months only, he died in 1556, Humayun, due to his fall from the staircase of his library. So after his father's death, Akbar succeeded the throne, but his position was dangerous because Delhi was again seized by the Afghans, right? And their commander-in-chief, Hemu, was in charge of it. This is the picture of Akbar. So here comes the second battle of Panipat in 1556, when Hemu was defeated by Akbar. And in fact, Akbar established the Mughal Empire once again. So in fact, there was question in 2014 in the mains examination, okay, on the Battle of Panipat, okay, about the importance of Battle of Panipat, okay, why so many battles took place in this region, Panipat, okay. So basically there were 3 battles of Panipat. The first in 1526 when Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi and established the Mughal Empire. And the second battle of Panipat, in which again Akbar defeated Afghans and re-established the Mughal Empire. And the third was between Afghans and Marathas. So in the second battle of Panipat in 1556, Hemu was almost on the point of victory. But fortune favored the Akbar and the Mughal victory was decisive. During the first 5 years of Akbar's reign, Bairam Khan acted as his regent. Okay, since Akbar was very young, just 13 years old, right? This is why Bairam Khan acted as his regent and he consolidated the Mughal Empire. But later on, due to internal political conflict, he was removed by Akbar and sent to Makkah in Saudi Arab on a pilgrimage. But on his way, Bairam Khan was killed by an Afghan. Akbar's military conquests were extensive. He conquered northern India from Agra to Gujarat and then from Agra to Bengal. He strengthened the northwest frontier. Later he went to the Deccan part also. So let me show you the map so that you can understand in a better way. Yeah, this is the map of India during the Akbar. So you can see the Mughal Empire was from in the western side. It was from Afghanistan region, right, to eastern side, this Bangladesh region. This was a really huge empire. Now let's talk about relations of Akbar with Rajputs. He married the Rajput princess, the daughter of Raja Bharamal. It was a turning point in the history of Mughals. Okay, see, Rajputs were very powerful, right? So Akbar was not just a person who liked fights or wars, okay, but at the same time he was highly diplomatic in nature. Okay, so to avoid the wars with Rajputs and to maintain smooth relations with them, he started to do some marriage alliances, okay, with them. So daughter of Raja Bharmal, she was Jodha Bai, she was one of them, and it was a turning point in the history of Mughals. Rajputs served the Mughals for 4 generations. Many of them rose to the positions of military generals. So Raja Bhagwan Das and Raja Man Singh were some of the important Rajputs who served Akbar, and they were given senior positions in the administrations by Akbar. In the Battle of Haldi Ghati, Maharana Pratap was severely defeated. Maharana Pratap was from Chittor, Mewar, in Rajasthan. Okay, so he never wanted to gain the supremacy of Akbar, right? He always wanted to be independent, and this is what Rajputs love. Okay, so remember this: the Battle of Haldi Ghati in 1576. The Maharana Pratap army was severely defeated by the Mughal army led by Raja Man Singh. See, Raja Man Singh himself was a Rajput, okay, but he was serving Akbar, and he fought against another Rajput, Maharana Pratap. Akbar's Rajput policy was combined with a broad religious toleration. Okay, religious toleration, dharmic sahisnuta. He abolished the pilgrim tax and later the jizya tax also. Jizya on non-Muslim people. It was imposed on non-Muslim people, so he found it highly discriminatory in nature, and this is why he abolished this jizya tax. Now we are going to discuss about the religious policy of Akbar, and this is one of the most important topic from the whole chapter. Okay, because in the mains examination also UPSC has asked question directly on Akbar's religious policy. So please focus on this part. Akbar rose to fame in the pages of history due to his religious policy. Okay, we call it Akbar the Great, right? We have only 2 kings, okay, and with their names we use the word great: Ashoka the Great and Akbar the Great. It's not due to their political achievements, but rather it was due to their religious policy. Okay, in the case of Ashoka also, we know about his policy of Dhamma, right, to propagate Buddhism, right? And similarly, in the case of Akbar also, he was following his religious policy, right? And his religious policy was known as Sulh-Kul. Sulh-Kul, it means peace, religion for peace. Various factors were responsible for his religious ideas. So there were so many different factors which actually contributed to develop his high level of religious policy, the principle of Sulh-Kul, religious tolerance, and so on. The most important among them were his early contacts with the Sufi saints. So it was the time when Sufi movements and Bhakti movements were going on. Okay, you have already studied about that part. So he was having some contacts with the Sufi saints and the teachings of his tutor Abdul Latif. Abdul Latif was his tutor, okay, and his marriage with Rajput women, his association with intellectual giants like Sheikh Mubarak, and his 2 illustrious sons, Abul Fazl and Abul Faji. So they were also among those Navratna, the 9 chief ministers under the court of Akbar. So all these people actually helped him to develop a idea of religious tolerance. Okay, and his ambition to establish an empire in Hindustan. So he understood about the diversity of Hindustan, India, right? And this is why, due to some influence from his gurus, right, from some Sufi saints, and also due to his marriage alliances with Rajputs, right? So all this helped him to develop the idea of Sulh-Kul, the religious policy. He abolished the pilgrim tax, and in 1562 he abolished even jizya tax. Okay, In 1575, he ordered for the construction of Ibadat Khana. So Ibadat Khana was a house of worship at his new capital Fatehpur Sikri. So in 1570, Akbar developed his new capital Fatehpur Sikri near Agra in Uttar Pradesh region. And when he built this Ibadat Khana, Akbar invited learned scholars from all religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism. Okay, so that he could conduct some religious discussions. Okay, he in fact disliked the interference of the Muslim ulamas in political matters. In 1579, he issued the infallibility decree by which he asserted his religious powers. Finally, in 1582, Akbar himself, he promulgated a new religion called Din-e-Ilahi. Underline this, Din-e-Ilahi, or divine faith. So basically, you just saw that after the construction of Ibadat Khana, he invited so many learned scholars to discuss on religious matters. And after going through so many discussions, okay, finally, he came up with the idea of his own new religion, and it was Din-e-Ilahi, or divine faith. It believes in one God. It holds no dogma. It was aimed at bridging the gulf that separated different religions. Akbar did not compel anyone to his new faith. Okay, though he was the powerful king, but he did not compel anyone to follow his new religious idea about Din-e-Ilahi, or divine faith. Now, let's discuss about the land revenue administration. This is also important, okay? And in fact, there are questions means also on this part. So let's remember 4 to 5 important points regarding the land revenue administration. So basically, the land revenue system is called the Jabti or Bandobast system or the Hasala system. It was developed by Todarmal. Todarmal was one of the Navratnas of Akbar, one of the 9 chief ministers of Akbar. So the land revenue system was known as the Hasala system. Remember this part. So Akbar made some experiments in the land revenue administration with the help of Raja Todarmal. The revenue was fixed on the average yield of land assessed on the basis of the past 10 years. Okay, so there was some sort of assessment of land, and on the basis of that part, they used to fix the land revenue. Further, the land was divided into 4 categories: Polaj, Parti, Chachar, Banjar. Polaj was cultivated, it's a land, okay, which was cultivated every year. Then Parti, okay, it means ki once in a 2 years. Chachar, it was a kind of land, okay, which was cultivated once in a 3 or 4 years. And finally, Banjar, it was land, okay, on which they cultivate once in 5 or more years. Payment of revenue was made generally in cash. Okay, so the land revenue, the payment of revenue was basically in cash, not in the form of crops. Okay, Mansabdari system was again one of the important characteristics of the Akbar's rule. Akbar introduced the Mansabdari system in his administration. Under this system, every officer was assigned a rank, that is Mansab. Okay, don't get confused. Okay, in Delhi Sultanate, we studied about Iqtidari system. Okay, so Iqtidari system is related to Delhi Sultanate. Mansabdari system is related to Mughal Empire and also the Suri dynasty. Okay, because the Mansabdari system was actually started by Sher Shah Suri. And apart from this, in Vijayanagara Empire also there was a same kind of system. Okay, and it was called Amarnayaka system. Amarnayaka system. So it was based on a rank. Okay, the lowest rank was 10 and the highest was 5,000 for the nobles. Now the ranks are divided into 2. Okay, Zat and Sawar. Zat and Sawar. Zat means personal, and it fixed the personal status of a person. But Sawar rank indicated the number of cavalrymen of a person who was required to maintain. Okay, So this was a kind of mansabdari system. And further the ranks, okay, the mansab was divided into Zat and Sawar. So Jat was for personal, okay, it's like if you are a local ruler, right, local governor, then you can maintain an army for your personal use, okay. But at the same time, if you are a Sawar, okay, if you are holding a mansab of a Sawar, then there has to be a fixed number of cavalrymen and army, okay, that you have to maintain for the king also, for the emperor also. Further, the mansab rank was not hereditary. So underline this, okay. So it's not like if the father is the mansabdar, then the next mansabdar would be his son only. No, it was based on capacity, eligibility. Okay, it was not like of hereditary system. All appointments and promotions as well as dismissals were directly made by the emperor. Again, underline this part. Okay, so all the appointments and promotions of the mansabs or mansabdars, okay, as well as their dismissals were directly made by the emperor only. Now, in 1605, when Akbar died, Prince Salim succeeded with the title Jahangir. Okay, the meaning of Jahangir is conqueror of the world. In 1605, his son Khusro revolted but was defeated and imprisoned. Okay, so don't get confused, please. Okay, Khusro was son of Jahangir who revolted against his father. And Jahangir ruled from 1605 to 1627 only, right? And one of his supporters, Guru Arjun was one of the gurus of Sikhism, okay, the fifth guru. And the allegations are that Guru Arjun Dev, he supported Khusro to revolt. So on charge of this, Guru Arjun, the fifth Sikh guru, was beheaded, was murdered by Jahangir. Noor Jahan, says Noor Jahan, wife of Jahangir. Next topic is about Noor Jahan. See, for any other kingdom, not only about the Mughal Empire, basically these kingdoms were ruled by male, right? But there are very few women like Noor Jahan who played a crucial role in the administration and governance of the kingdom. So Jahangir married to Noor Jahan in 1611. Her original name was Mehru Nisa. Her father, Itmad Daula, was a respectable person and he was given the post of Chief Diwan. Other members of her family also benefited from this alliance. Itmad Daula, should you remember the name? I would say yes. Not just because of he was father of Noor Jahan, but because of an important fact. See, Noor Jahan later on built a tomb for Itmad Daula after his death, okay? And the speciality about that, the main characteristics about that tomb of Itmad Daula is that it is supposed to be the first tomb in India, okay, made of pure white marbles, okay, Sangemarmar that you call it. So that is something that we will discuss again in the art and culture part. So in the first part, we are simply going to cover the political history of the Mughal Empire. And certainly in the next part, we will cover all those administrations, all the key points related to administrations, economy, art and culture. Noor Jahan's elder brother Asaf Khan was appointed as Khani's summon. Basically, it was a post reserved for the nobles. In 1612 only, Asaf Khan's daughter Arjamand Banu Begum, popularly known as Mumtaz, was married to third son of Jahangir, that is Khurram, popularly known as Shah Jahan. So don't get confused. You would think, okay, in 1611 Jahangir married and in 1612 he married his son, okay, just because those emperors used to have multiple wives, right? So it is clear that Noor Jahan dominated the royal household and set new fashion based on Persian traditions. Because she was from Persia, she encouraged Persian art and culture in the court. The rise of Shah Jahan was due to his personal ambitions. He rose in revolt against his father Jahangir only, who ordered him to go to Kandahar. This rebellion distracted the activities of the empire for 4 years. After Jahangir's death in 1627 only, Shah Jahan reached Agra with the support of the nobles and the army. Now let's study about the Shah Jahan, who ruled the Mughal Empire from 1627 to 1658. Shah Jahan launched a prolonged campaign in the northwest frontier to recover Kandahar and other ancestral lands. Shah Jahan realized the futility of his ambition and stopped fighting. His Deccan policy was more successful. He defeated the forces of Ahmednagar and annexed it. Both Bijapur and Golconda signed a treaty with the emperor. Shah Jahan carved 4 Mughal provinces in the Deccan: Khandesh, Berar, Telangana, and Daulatabad. They were put under the control of his son Aurangzeb. So basically, I hope you remember that during this period in northern India, when there was rule of Mughal Empire, at the same time in southern India there was rule of Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Sultanate. Okay, so after the decline of Bahmani Sultanate, it was disintegrated into many small kingdoms. Okay, like Berar, Bijapur, Golconda. Okay, so it was further controlled by, later on it was captured by Shah Jahan. Okay, and finally all the Deccan sultanates were put under the control of his son Aurangzeb. So after the around 1657, okay, we see the war of succession. Okay, what is it? Let me tell you. The last years of Shah Jahan's reign were clouded by a bitter war of succession among his 4 sons. So there were 4 sons of Shah Jahan: Dara Shikoh, who was the crown prince; then Shuja, governor of Bengal; Aurangzeb, governor of Deccan; Murad Baksh, governor of Malwa and Gujarat region. So finally, Aurangzeb emerged victorious in this struggle. Okay, so basically, to become the king of the Mughal Empire, he killed all his brothers who did not support him, who were against him. He forced Shah Jahan to surrender. He forced Shah Jahan, his own father, to surrender, but he was not ill-treated. He died in 1666 and was buried beside his wife's grave in the Taj Mahal in Agra. Now let's study about the political achievements of Aurangzeb. He ruled the Mughal Empire from 1658 to 1707, and Aurangzeb is supposed to be the last powerful Mughal king. He assumed the title Alamgir, which means world conqueror. His military campaigns in his first 10 years of reign were a great success. Okay, so you would see the extension of Mughal Empire during the Aurangzeb period. Okay, during the time of, it was just at this place. Okay, but now Aurangzeb captured the whole of, almost all of South India. Okay, except those the southernmost region. But he faced serious difficulties in the latter part of his reign. The Jats and Satnamis and also the Sikh revolted against him. These revolts were induced by his harsh religious policy. So we will discuss later on how far the religious policy of Aurangzeb was responsible for the decline of Mughal Empire. But before that, let's study about the Deccan policy of Aurangzeb. And it's important, please remember, the Deccan policy of the Mughals started from the reign of Akbar only and continued with the Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. When he became the Mughal emperor, he concentrated on the northern west frontier for the first 25 years. At that time, the Maratha ruler Shivaji was Chhatrapati Shivaji from Marathawada. He was contemporary of Aurangzeb. Shivaji carved out an independent Maratha kingdom in the territories of North and South Konkan region, Maharashtra. To contain the spread of the Marathas, Aurangzeb decided to invade Bijapur. and Golconda. He defeated Sikandar Shah of Bijapur and annexed his kingdom. Then he proceeded against Golconda and eliminated the Qutub Shahi dynasty. In fact, the destruction of the Deccan kingdoms was a political blunder on the part of Aurangzeb. The barrier between the Mughals and the Marathas were removed now, and there ensued a direct confrontation between them. Also, his Deccan campaigns exhausted the Mughal treasury. So this is why his Deccan policy was also one of the factors which led to the decline of the Mughal Empire. Religious policy of Aurangzeb. His ideal was to transform India into an Islamic state. Okay, this is why Aurangzeb is sometimes called a hardcore Muslim. He created a separate department to enforce moral codes under a high-powered officer called Muhtasib. Underline this keyword because UPSC asks questions on keywords. Cultivation and use of bhang and other drugs were banned. Aurangzeb forbade music in the Mughal court, and he discontinued the practice of Jharokha Darshan. He also discontinued the celebration of Dasara, and royal astronomers and astrologers were also dismissed from service. So this was due to his religious policy, okay, which later on led to the decline of the Mughal Empire. Initially, Aurangzeb banned the construction of new Hindu temples and repair of old temples. Then he began a policy of destroying Hindu temples as well. The celebrated temples at Mathura and Banaras were reduced to ruins. In 1679, he reimposed jizya and pilgrim tax, okay, which was basically abolished by Akbar, right? But unfortunately, later on, Aurangzeb reimposed jizya tax on non-Muslims and pilgrim tax. He was also not tolerant of other Muslim sects. The celebration of Muharram was stopped. So in Muslim also there are certain divisions. No? So this is why he was not happy, he was not tolerant toward the other Muslim sects. His invasions against the Deccan Sultanates were partly due to his hatred of the Shia faith. Okay, Shia and Sunni are two main sects of Muslim community. He was also against the Sikhs, and he executed the 9th Sikh Guru Tegh Bahadur. This had resulted in the transformation of Sikhs into a warring community. His religious policy was responsible for turning the Rajputs, the Marathas, and Sikhs into the enemies of Mughal Empire. It had also resulted in the rebellions of the Jats of Mathura and Satnamis of Mewar. All right. So this is how the religious policy of Aurangzeb led to the decline of Mughal Empire. Okay. This was one of the most important factors. In men's examination, okay, they ask questions on the decline of Mughal empires and the different factors responsible for it. Okay. So please remember the religious policy of Aurangzeb. Now let's assess the character and personality of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was industrious and disciplined. He was very simple in food and dress. He did not consume wine. He earned money for his personal expenses by copying the Quran, the holy book of Muslim, and selling those copies. So though he was the king of the Mughal Empire, but still he earned money for his personal expenses by copying the Quran and selling those copies. He was learned and proficient in Arabic and Persian languages, and he was lover of books. He was devoted to his religion and conducted prayers 5 times a day. That is the 5 namaz. He strictly observed the Ramazan fasting. Ramzan is 1 month long fasting just before the Eid. In the political field, he failed to solve the Maratha problem and left an open sore. His policy towards Shia Deccan Sultanates also proved to be a wrong policy. His religious policy was also not successful. Aurangzeb was an orthodox Sunni Muslim. Now, let's discuss the causes for the downfall of the Mughal Empire. Number 1, To some extent, the religious and Deccan policies of Aurangzeb contributed to its decline, that we just saw. Next, the weakness of the empire was exposed when Nadir Shah imprisoned the Mughal emperor and looted Delhi in 1739. So, like the other invaders, okay, for example, in history also we have seen Muhammad bin Qasim, Mahmud Ghaznavi, Taimur, Muhammad Ghori, right? So all these were invaders. So similarly, 1739, later on after the death of Aurangzeb, in 1739 during the rule of Muhammad Shah, Nadir Shah invaded in India, okay, and he imprisoned the Mughal emperor and looted Delhi. So this was another factor which contributed to the decline of Mughal empire. The weak successors and demoralization of the Mughal army also paved the way for it. The financial difficulties due to continuous wars led to the decline. The neglect of the sea power by the Mughals was felt when the Europeans began to settle in India. Okay. So after the Aurangzeb, you saw that Europeans started to interfere in the internal politics. Okay. That is something that we have seen in the modern history part when I taught you the topic Mughals in modern India. Further, the invasions of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali. Ahmad Shah Abdali, he invaded India during the Third Battle of Panipat, and it weakened the Mughal state. Thus, the decline and downfall of the Mughal empire was due to the combination of political, social, and economic. So let me tell you one more thing. In the mains examination, if you would see any question that like how far the religious policy or how far the Deccan policies of Aurangzeb was responsible for the decline of Mughal empire. So there you have to talk more about that particular factor. But at the same time, you have to highlight some other factors also. Okay, because you just saw that it was not a single factor, but a combination of political, social, and economic factors. So that was all about the political history of the Mughal empire. In the second part, we will analyze the administration's economy and the contribution of Mughals in art, architecture, and culture. Thank you so much. God bless you.